Hello everyone and welcome to The Public Space. Today we are speaking with Coach Red Pill about his new book, which I've read, which I believe I'm one of the first readers in the world beside Coach Red Pill and whoever reviewed it with him. It seems that I am the first to read it and I'm going to give my opinion on it. Wilshire Boulevard. It's currently a running Indiegogo campaign. As I can see on the goal here, you are very close to your goal, so everything is going well for you, right?
Yes, after a week up, the campaign has almost reached its goal, which is fantastic. But there are a bunch of perks for people, so I urge them to go check it out. And to tell you the truth, I'm really nervous about this conversation because you're the first person that I'll be discussing this, and you and I haven't talked about your impressions about the book. So yeah, I don't know if you're going to say I love it or I hate it. So that's going to be interesting. So yeah, go ahead.
I loved it. I'm not a man of fiction, but I loved it for many reasons. It's very different from your average fiction, and that's what I will talk to you about how you constructed this book, because it feels a little bit like a movie in some ways. It feels like this has been written by a film director. The way you describe sometimes the things that happen. Sometimes there's a guy on the desk and you see his glasses on his nose. The way you go into this description, it's like it's a movie shot that you're describing, really, and you don't seem to care about making it a literary like grandiose book where everything flows in terms of sentences. What we see is there's a flow of images rather than sentences.
Yeah, because on the one hand, my imagination is a lot more visual than literary, I suppose you could say. And the idea also is that I wanted to make something that was deliberately superficial. Superficial not in the sense of being shallow, but in the sense of being all surfaces. And I wanted things to be sort of like you could see the surface of things as a carapace. And that was what's interesting, it seems to me. But,
Right.
well, the question is, I sent it to you like 2-3 days ago. And you read it, it must have been a page turner then.
No, I mean, I have huge reading capabilities. I read your entire thing yesterday, actually, because I didn't have time before. Yesterday, in fact, I went on a super high-class restaurant with Mama JF. We ate pea soup with whipped cream. There was ham, rabbit, quail. It was a very innovative restaurant that serves 13 meals total during the night. Coming back from that, then I started reading your book. So it took about 5 hours. But yeah, it is a diagonal reading, but I don't think I missed anything. In fact, I read all words, and it is the way I read books. So we'll talk about all of the details that I found very interesting, especially concerning the female versus male distinction in that book. It's absolutely spectacular. But before, let's talk to my audience. There is a big day ahead of us, because at 2 p.m. Eastern Time after this show, so right now we're going to talk about the book with Coach Red Pill. We're also going to talk about Ethan Ralph. Coach Red Pill has a recent video. We'll do that after. And then at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, we have our membership-only stream here on YouTube for the members of the YouTube channel. So if you're not a member yet, click join below the video, and we're going to do, right now there are about, I believe, 60 members, or it's probably raised since I last checked, but between 60 and 100, we're all going to do a private show for you guys, and we're going to talk about the Jussie Smollett affair, the arrest that has happened today, and about recent news. Also at 7 p.m. there will be the regular show, a debate with Kyle Rowland. I don't know what it's going to be about. I'm not sure of his position, but it's going to be about IQ and because he's Jewish and he has a position on IQ and psychology. So don't miss this awesome day by joining the channel right now so you can get the link. And so let's go back to our subject, Wilshire Boulevard, a novel. Now, on the Indiegogo campaign, you mentioned that you tried publishing this book in the regular editor houses, and you got BTFO'd, you say. So can you tell us a little bit about this? How did that happen? When?
Sure. Well, you see, like I started my career as a writer in Hollywood right after college in the mid '90s, and then I transitioned into writing novels with big publishing houses in New York. I wrote for Random House and Putnam and St. Martin's Press, and these books that I wrote, they were thrillers, they were commercial fiction, they were translated into various languages. But then, like in the early 2000s, rather, around the time of the Iraq War, I transitioned into other things, specifically producing movies in South America. And then that led to other things, and I just sort of like left publishing behind. And then in 2015, I decided that I wanted to get back into publishing. And so 2015 and 16, I wrote this book, and I was represented by a very, very strong agency, literary agency, and there was every expectation that it would sell, as my books before had sold rather well. But the publishing landscape had changed by 2016, and only now I realized what had happened. It had gone full on SJW. And a lot of the themes and ideas of this book, of Wilshire Boulevard, just did not fit with the current publishing environment. Sort of like what has happened rather, with video games and comic books, and to an extent movies, with The Last Jedi and this Captain Marvel nonsense, which is just horrible. Yeah, I just got I was told that the book was too problematic, but one editor was honest enough to say that it was hateful and misogynistic, which I did not understand because you read the book. Does it sound hateful and misogynistic to you?
Well, it depends. I mean, it does. I mean, the thing is, it does present the reality, as far as my view goes, the reality of women's place in a world where they don't make babies. They just create trouble in that world. Is that a bad reading of your book? All of the
No,
women
no,
are
no.
the bringers of chaos in your book. It's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. They bring chaos, and the one woman who's trying to bring some order is one of the detectives, and she fails miserably, and she fails miserably, but they keep her around because she's a woman. And yeah, I mean that I found kind of funny. But look, it's not that I say that women are poopy heads. Okay, no, it's not something that I'm just like a knee-jerk misogynist. Not at all. I personally love women. I have no problem with women. But the thing is, see, I do have a problem in pretending that reality is not the way it is. There was this great saying I heard the other day: "You can have social justice or you can have truth, but you can't have both." And if you try for only social justice, then all the truth tellers will walk away. And yeah, I mean, like I wrote a book that is realistic about women in today's society, in today's society where having children is not something that people desire, quite frankly, and
I mean, it's
instead
totally
women and
outside
men.
of the book. This book, no one has children in it. It's just there is only one relationship, which is really a father-daughter relationship. But the daughter has already been made, and now she's only bringing chaos. There's like no hope of Catherine getting babies, right?
Well, we don't know. We don't know.
Well, I
I
mean,
mean,
she
the end
might
is
have a baby out of her degenerate life, but it's like it's out of the question. It's not like we're celebrating the baptism of Catherine's baby at any point in this book. It doesn't happen.
no, no, it doesn't. But like the theme of the book is the issue of chaos. But there is that issue of chaos, but also there's the issue of structure and planning versus improvisation. That's one of the big metaphors of the book, of either just setting some goals, some plans, and being extremely structured and not deviating from that course of action, or sort of like going with the flow and being with the moment, being in the moment, second to second. And the idea is, sort of like to explicate my own book, is that, see, the people who are flowing with things, who are in the groove of the world, as one of the character puts it, they succeed. It's the ones who have all these very rigid plans. They are the ones who fail. And yeah, that's one of the major themes of the book. And yeah, but at the same time, the important thing is that it's entertaining. If it's not entertaining, I see no point in reading it. You see what I'm saying? And that's the kind of book I
William,
wrote.
for example, I would say William is an exception to the rule you just stated here, because I don't see William as having plans. For those who, of course, most people didn't read your book at this point, but William is essentially a hedge fund manager, and he's extremely talented at what he does. He's kind of what psychologists, I think, wrongly called a successful psychopath. He knows exactly what to do. He has extreme risk management capabilities. For example, at some point during the book, he calls out the bullshit of kidnappers of his daughter. He just calls them out, and even the FBI is getting nervous because they're like, "What the fuck is this guy doing? He's actually provoking them," and he's like super relaxed on the phone, and he's like, "I won't act as long as you don't show me the daughter." Anyways, this kind of very psychopathic personality, so much so that he's kind of more of a psychopath than any of the parasites around him in this book. And so I would say he's successful. He's just the victim of the parasitic problem. Is that a good reading?
I don't know about that. I don't really think of it in those terms, in terms of the characters. They just sort of like happen. I just allow them to flow. My thinking is that, you build up a good character and then you let him run, right? And that's more or less what happened. My proudest achievement, I feel, in this book was creating the character of Catherine, who is she's interesting and just she's a little bit psychopathic and a little bit autistic at the same time. And yet she's just the only one who's like on the ball and realizing that she's just got to flow with things. So anyway, for the people who don't know what the book is about, let me just pitch it so that people know what it's about. We're talking about it and stuff. Okay, so the story is about a kidnapping of the daughter of a billionaire, of this guy, William. And the daughter is called Catherine. And she's kidnapped by a bunch of overeducated losers, quite frankly, because there are these people who got all of these degrees and they got into all of this debt for student debt, and now they can't live their lives and they're sort of like stuck. And so they need money to get out from under all of the debt that they accrued in college, right? And so they hatched this plan to kidnap this girl. And because Catherine was a student of one of the kidnappers in university, because she was a TA. And so she's kidnapped. And, the first, quarter of the book is deliberately very much like any other thriller. And there are a lot of instances that are sort of like cribbed from other books, which is deliberate because it's supposed to be initially like a very standard thriller. But then like starting in like roughly the quarter mark or the third of the way mark, the book gets weird. It gets really weird. I mean, you can attest to this, but please don't give away the things that start to happen, the twists and turns. But the idea is that it starts to get really weird, and the book that you thought you're reading is not quite it. It's a lot more interesting and a lot more complicated than you realized. And there are a lot of characters, and you see Los Angeles because the city, it's called Wilshire Boulevard for a reason, because it's about the city of Los Angeles, which I know very, very well. And it's a city I hate. And I think that sometimes when you hate something as much as I do, you can portray it better because you know it and you understand it because you hate it. And so that's why I attempted to do this book. I mean, I attempted to do a book that was a page turner, that was unpredictable, that had interesting characters, and that really showed Los Angeles as the city that it is. Now, you, JF, I know that you're a guy who doesn't mince words and you shoot from the hip and you tell the truth. So you tell me if I succeeded or not in these ambitions.
Well, LA has so many dimensions. I certainly don't think you captured all of the dimensions of LA.
Well,
you captured one aspect of it, which is the college, the people, the lesbian gender studies teachers, how they lived, and the very rich people that can, for some reason, surround these other people. So you have, on the one hand, very deranged people, sexually and personally, and they are surrounded, for some reason, by some of the richest people in the world, and they have an abundance of resource because of this parasitic system. That you definitely captured very well. Now,
Thank you.
LA, there's also clubs in LA. You know that this book is not
Oh
about
yeah.
the LA nightclubs of LA. It's more about the feminist professor and the rich people. Now,
Yeah.
do you write about these individuals as a story between individuals, or are you embedding into all this a metaphor for society? Because in the whole way the police interacts with these people, and in the whole way poor William, the most intelligent of all the people in your book, I feel like William many times in my life, because I try to do stuff and all I want is to take my bunch of money and give my money to this other person, and the state is in my
Yeah.
the state is
Yeah.
busting my balls. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And like these morons get in the way,
Yeah,
because if they weren't in the way, everything would have been solved quicker.
yeah,
Well, not quite, because there's a twist there that we realize that one, it's I don't want to give anything away because the book is coming out on May 15th, but the people who participate in the Indiegogo campaign will get it earlier. And so go check out the perks on Indiegogo, because there's going to be an audiobook, an ebook, and also a hardcover edition. This hardcover edition is a limited run of only 1,000 copies, and this will be privately printed. I actually paid for it already, and so it's on its way. It's going to happen by let me see, April 15th or so. I should have everything ready to ship to the Indiegogo supporters. So please support the campaign. The book is going to be uploaded onto Amazon on April 15th, but it will be released on May 15th, because when you self-publish a book, when you publish a book, period, either through a publisher or self-publication, you see, you want to leave it up on the site for a few weeks so that it accumulates sales. So on the first day, when it's finally released, all the sales that happened in the previous days or previous weeks, they all happen on the same day, the day of release. And so the book has like this pop in sales numbers, and that helps with the algorithm of the recommended list on the Amazon site. And so this was told to me by somebody at Amazon, and so that's why we're doing this. And
yeah. I tried
yeah,
doing
it's
this
really fun.
when I got my book out. I tried doing it, but these Amazon people are totally unreliable. They will pull your book without your consent at the date that you don't consent. So be careful when you set up your paperback version, because the paperback goes live no matter what you say in terms of pre-sales for the ebook. And so that's how I got caught. I had set a pre-sales period of a few days for the ebook. They take the paperback out and they say it's live. You can buy it now. And so then what I did is that I said, oh, let's cancel the pre-release and let's pull the ebook out.
Jeez, no, it's well, my thinking is slow and steady, and everything is coming along fine. The Indiegogo campaign, the printing of the hardcover, it's going to be. Let me show you. It's
Do you
going
have the
to.
cover? Because I think I didn't see the cover yet. The cover design.
No, not yet. It's being designed, but also I'm thinking, because the ideas that I've been getting from a couple of artists I've been in touch with are not, I'm not crazy about them, and so I'm thinking of doing like a contest to see if people would do it, because I've budgeted $500 for the cover, and I'm thinking of maybe doing a contest. So maybe that would be a better idea. So I don't know. I'll have to figure it out. But see, I'm having the book published, printed here in Kharkov, in Ukraine, and it's going to look exactly like this book. Let me just
Okay,
see.
nice.
This book is actually Hamlet in Ukrainian. Okay, and the
Nice.
book is going to be, cloth bound and embossed, as you can see here. Rather than
Nice.
blue as this copy, it's going to be red, and it's going to be, as you can tell, it's going to be, it's like cloth bound here. I don't know if you can see it there, and just extremely well made. I'm really impressed by it, because you see, this book, if you like wriggle it, it doesn't move at all, right? And
Yeah.
whereas an American book, It does. The hardcover is kind of cheap. I mean, one of the good things about being in a third world country is that sometimes in the craftsmanship is better, and so the book binding is very, very good, and I'm really looking forward to it. And yeah, so the book is on its way, and you've read it, because there are some people, some very low people, who claim that I haven't written any book. So for the record, JF, did you read Wilshire Boulevard, and is it a real book?
Absolutely. I've read a version that Coach Red Pill sent me through the internet. Of course, I've read the entire thing. All I saw is novel stuff. I've never heard of this story elsewhere, so I don't think he sent me a book by another author. And in fact, you can feel Coach Red Pill in the whole writing. The way you use, the way you overuse, and that looks like your videos. When I was at these characters that say, you motherfucker, and there's like a full page of insults. It's like, you motherfucker, shut up! And I was like, this is totally Coach Red Pill doing one of his YouTube videos.
Oh, well, okay, that's good to know. My signature prose is the word good to know.
Yes, because I think that we use more than Americans, because I think it hurts more to an American, to someone born in America, really. The word is more taboo than it is for us, and that's why I also use it more than your average English guy.
Yeah, I think everybody on the internet does, yeah. But
okay, so
yeah,
what are the other things that I had noted about the book? Well, you are correct. The first quarter is like a normal suspense action thing, and then it develops into kind of a how we got there story, where we go deeper into the mind of Catherine, and we defocus from William, and then it's more like from the order of the head of William, in which I felt so safe. I was like, okay, William is my pillar in this book. Ultimately, we get into the chaotic nature of Catherine and the chaotic nature of all of this group. They are all super disorganized. There's even, I will reveal one of the big punches. There is furry in Wilshire Boulevard.
Yes, there is. There is. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, there is. It's really funny.
I don't know how the Puritans of the internet will react, but there is absolute furry in the book, and so buy it only if you are an adult. It is extremely shocking when we arrive in that element of the book. What else?
No, there's that other sex scene that's a lot worse. The one with the don't tell people about it.
Absolutely. I had other comments on the ending, but I guess that we cannot reveal the ending. So I guess I'll just say that it's an ending that leaves me want a second book. Probably, is that correct to say that you are hinting at a second book after this?
I don't know, because the ending is, I found it personally shocking as all get out, and I wrote the thing. But I thought that the ending was shocking, and I don't know where it goes from there. You tell me, because it's a pretty devastating ending, if you ask me. And the thing is, see, when I was writing it, I was thinking to myself, okay, like, I want to. So many thrillers, they are really good, but then they get to the end, they just sort of like fade. And what happened was that in the writing of this book, there was the ending that was perfect, that really just hit it hard. And that's the ending that I wanted to put in. Something that is sort of like an exclamation mark at the end of the book. And you tell me if it's a hard exclamation mark at the end of the book.
It is hard, but I was like, it is so softly written that I was like, I had to read it again. I had to say, is he telling me that? I will not reveal the information, but I was like, is that what's happening? And I read the last sentence and I was like, wait, it's a very poetic way to put it, but is that what's happening? And so I'm both scratching my head, and if I'm right about what this sentence means, I'm like, oh God, then we need a second book. We need the follow up to that. What happens to Catherine?
Yeah, it's pretty devastating, you know. And so yeah, I'm very pleased with that. And you know, the thing is, see, how can I put it? I want this book to be read, and I wrote it to be read and to entertain people. But there are a lot of ideas going on in the book. Okay, it's not just an empty-headed thriller. It seems so at first. It's deliberately written so that, in terms of pacing and in terms of the style of it, the superficial style, the movie-like style that you said. Yeah, I shouldn't call it superficial, but rather the movie-like style of it, where it's all about surfaces and appearances. And I wanted that. I wanted it to be entertaining, and I wanted it to be a page turner. But I also wanted it to be a book that you could read a second or third or fourth time and start to get ideas out of it. You know, like for instance, you note that like one of the book in a couple of key moments mentions Jorge Luis Borges and the idea of labyrinths, which is very key, and how the best labyrinth is a single straight line. And it's where, you know, like he says, philosophers and detectives have become lost on that single straight, unbreakable and unending line. And that's what Wilshire Boulevard is. Okay, it's this line, and I wanted to make it so that you, the reader, become lost in the plot, but a lot of things are happening at the same time. There's a discussion about feminism, for instance. There's a discussion about how women's role in the society is privileged. They have it's matriarchal. It's a matriarchal culture, and that's what the book talks about. It talks about how the women control things in spite of the fact that the men are the ones who are more competent and know what the hell they're doing. The women in this society control things, and they use their sexuality to control. And the men are sort of like overwhelmed. Even the most capable men are overwhelmed by women's sexuality and how they have lost control, especially when that sexuality is not directed towards procreation, but rather directed towards hedonism, quite frankly.
Yeah, and more than hedonism, I think there is, I don't know to what extent I can reveal, but there is a sex scene where there is a rape or kind of a rape going on, and it's an inverted rape in the sense that it is a woman. I will not reveal. I will not reveal. But it's more than hedonism. It's manipulation. Sex is used as a tool of manipulation in this book. All right. I think that is all for my review of the book. In the end, I really enjoyed it. It is a book that made me laugh. I think I laughed out loud at least 5 or 6 times, and I read it quite fast. There are things that are surprising and that are very much also, this book is written at the intersection between being a normie and being a guy on the internet, and we feel it because furry stuff wouldn't have emerged there if it wasn't of that. You talk of YouTube videos at some points in the book. It doesn't sound like a book that was written by a normie.
I guess not. I guess at this point, because what happened also is that when I dusted it off to get it set for printing, I gave it a good rewrite. I gave it a good strong polish. And yeah, and I think that I think it came out great. I'm so happy that you enjoyed it. And I do hope that everybody who's watching that go check out the Indiegogo campaign and support this project. I think that you'll enjoy it. And yeah, if you support the Indiegogo campaign, you'll be among the first to get it once it's officially released. You'll get it a month before it's released to the general public. So that's me shilling, because like I've done a video saying that insofar as this book is concerned and this project, I am going to shill the ever-living hell out of it, okay? I am going to shill it like there's no tomorrow, because I figure if I'm not shilling it, nobody else will, you know? And I really believe in this project, and I'm so glad that you, JF, really enjoyed it. I mean, it just makes my day.
Wonderful. I'm showing the link to the Indiegogo campaign is in the description. The campaign is going extremely well. You've already reached 84% of your goal. And the whole business of self-publishing, of not asking permission to others, that is the future, because the strength of this book, they can be detected by someone like me, and they could potentially be detected by thousands and thousands of readers who are ready to throw money at you for it. But yet an editor, a normie editor in a normal house publication will just not get it. He won't get it, that it's a book written by people who live in a totally different world than you.
Yeah. It's so incredibly frustrating because the agency I was with, they had great expectations for it. They really had very high hopes for it. You read the book. Look, I know that the book is good enough to be published by the big 5 publishers. Okay, I know this because the agents who represented me were serious literary agents who have put big books in with big publishers. Okay, and I have done so in the past. Okay, so I knew that the book was good insofar as the quality of it. And that for me is the shocking part, that even though it was high quality, it just did not toe the ideological line. Because a lot of the thrillers today are really these empty-headed books, or a lot of them are like sort of like revenge fantasies against Muslims, right? Against Arab countries, where you have like Brad Thor and other novelists like that who write these very stupid books that are just, revenge fantasy kind of things. This is an intelligent book. It's an intelligent book that is about a lot of different things at the same time. And it's highly critical of certain aspects of our society. And mainstream publishers just did not want it. I mean, they just found it politically a non-starter. And so that's why I'm forced to self-publish it. And to tell you the truth, I'm glad now. Because, I don't have to answer to anybody. It's just my thing. And luckily, we have the tools to be able to do it. And we have access to an audience. And so, I think that this is the future. I certainly am going to be writing more books like this. I'm already on my way with the next one, which is a pretty cool book, but I'm not going to tell you anything about it. But Wilshire Boulevard is on deck. And the second book, the next one, I'll have it done by the end of this year. So by the end of this year, we're going to have the same conversation about the next one.
The way you have to see it as a publisher is you're going to get $1 a book if you go through the mainstream publishing. You're going to get $10 or even $12, $13 per book if you are self-publishing. So be careful, because if you go for the mainstream publishing, you need to sell 10 times more book than you would as a self-published author. And the big advantage is, as a self-published author, if you become popular for your 5th book in 10 years from now, you're still cashing in on your $12 profit per self-published book. And so you own something. When you have the copyright of your own book, you own something that is lasting and that can get you extremely far in life, and that the furthest you go in life, the more it will make money for you.
I think that self-publishing is the way to go. And I think that publishers, especially because of their ideological bent as of late, are going to go the way of the dodo, quite frankly. The dodo and the dinosaur, because the better novelists will realize that it's just easier for them to self-publish and just forget about the mainstream, And that's what I'm going to be doing, quite frankly. So,
All right. We have a couple of reactions from the crowd. Dirty D disagrees, sends $15. He says, why is CRP lying about Ralph? He claims Ralph didn't correct the record with Zoom, and that's why he cut ties. But not only is that provably false, but CRP disavowed Ralph before that anyway. So I'm not aware of the details of this situation, but perhaps it's a good time to introduce the whole thing we wanted to talk about, because you've published a video recently about detaching from Ralph. You are disappointed with Ralph, and you are simply detaching, and you won't be friends with him anymore. Now, I need to specify something that I haven't specified. I have blocked Ralph and Andy Warski about 7 days ago. I have blocked them on Twitter, and I never talked about it. The reason I did is that they started covering stories against me and against my family. And so the rule has always been the same for me. I can provide free entertainment. If you are a live streamer of any kind, I can be your friend. I can go to your stream and we can talk about anything, and you can even laugh about me if you want. But if you bring my family in this, in ways that I haven't consented to. If you attack my family, you are simply, I'm simply cutting the line. Now, I hear that essentially you have made a similar decision, and I didn't know about that until this morning. In your recent video, you detached from Ralph because you're not satisfied with his, the ethics of his coverage of yourself, in a situation where he didn't deny falsities that were said against you. Is that correct?
Well, first of all, I had promised myself that I wasn't going to be talking about this in public, and I said so publicly that I was going to just do that video and just not talk about it anymore. You have been very kind in hosting me here, so I'll just discuss this very briefly. Without getting into too much detail, it's just an idiotic situation, but I saw that Andy was just antagonizing and getting into fights with everybody, with you, with Jared Holt. He was going to sue him and this and that, and just like fighting, fighting, fighting. And from what I understood, Andy and Ethan Ralph are going to go down to Miami to do a program. And instead of focusing on that, Andy seemed to be focused on just fighting. And I thought that was foolish. And I told him so. I told him so publicly and to his face. He was on my stream, and I told him that, look, focus on what's important. Nobody's denying that, you were in the moral right insofar as Tonka Saw and Ian Miles Chung, but, focus on what's important. And the thing is, I said that between Andy and you, JF, I wasn't going to get in the middle because I respect you and I have a great deal of appreciation to you, JF. Because in a time when everybody was attacking me, when Sargon doxed me and smeared me, you were the only one who gave me a platform, and you were very kind in helping me put the truth out there. The truth that we now know, that Sargon is just full of shit, and he was just a doxer and a smearer and just a low man, right? But at the time, that was a very unpopular opinion, because at the time, Sargon was at the peak of his powers, right? So, well, we've seen over the last year how Sargon sort of like decayed. Now, insofar as Andy, I appreciate him. I went with him to Knoxville to the Tonka fight, and I was working on the documentary that I'd shot there and all the rest of it. I was just really looking forward to it and just editing it and having a great time editing it. But I observed how Andy was just getting into fights with everyone. And I thought, come on, this is foolish. You're just dissipating your energy. And I told him this. And he got upset. And that's perfectly fine if you get upset by a criticism. But what he did was he allowed, or basically gave tacit permission, or encouraged, I don't know what, but he basically gave tacit permission to this individual Zoom to just lie blatantly about me, about all kinds of things, and just going on and on. This guy has done like 3 or 4 streams about me that have lasted multiple hours, trying to nitpick at everything in my life, trying to get something at me. One of the things that he's said, this Zoom individual has said, is that I live in my studio. Now, as you can see, let me just see if you can see it here. I'm going to pick up my computer and show the audience, right? This is my studio, right? This is where I come to shoot my videos. Now, you're going to see something here, if you don't mind my, wait, let me see. It's kind of awkward to put in the camera. You see all these T-shirts that are lying there? Right?
Yeah.
The reason that I have those T-shirts is because, see, I usually prepare 3 or 4 videos, and I shoot them all in one day. I shoot them all in one day, and during the week, I edit them. And so, of course, it doesn't seem that I shot them all in a single day. I change T-shirts. That's what I do. It's not that I live here, because, as you can see, this is a studio that doesn't have a bathroom.
So nice. We get an inside look into the studio of CRP. That's amazing.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, as you can see, wait, let me just show you.
So there's a door, and then it's one room only.
It's one room only, and this door. Let me just show you. Oh, it's no trouble at all to show you. This is going out the door, and that's down the hallway. And
Wow.
So that's the hallway of this office building. And so I, work here, and well, you have a coffee maker, and the maid isn't the maid hasn't been showing up as of late. And so yeah, like here's my desk, you know. I built this myself, you know, and with all the crap I have. I mean, I don't live in my studio, and those are the drawings of my children. You know, I have
Nice.
a daughter who's 5 and a son who's 3. My son is about to turn 4. Now, the thing is, see, this character, the reason I'm showing my studio is to prove that I don't live in my studio, which is absurd. But this man would say these lies and other lies. And some of them quite serious, because at one point, Andy, Ethan, and I were discussing doing a business deal and doing a business project together. And it didn't work out. We had one conversation about it, and we had just differences of opinion, and it didn't work out. And that's that. That happens all the time. That means nothing. But in that conversation that was between Ethan, Andy, and myself, I had said that in this new project that we shouldn't give a equity position, that is a percentage of the business, to a couple of people who did not bring that much to the project. And rather than give them percentages, I said that we should pay them a flat salary. And I mentioned a couple of figures casually in the conversation, you know, 1,000 or 2,000 each per month for a couple of months, which is the duration of the project, which was perfectly reasonable for the task. Okay. And I mentioned this, and Ethan was there, and Andy was there, and I was there, obviously. There, I said this, and then later, Ethan, you know, is talking to Zoom, and Zoom is lying and saying that I wanted to cheat these individuals, and Ethan is just like acquiescing. He's like nodding along. You know, well, I don't know, and he knows that that's not true. And this individual, Zoom, is trying to paint me in the most negative light, as if I'm trying to take advantage of these two individuals. And I wasn't trying to take advantage of these two individuals. I was simply saying that we shouldn't give them equity in this business, since, with all due respect to these people, they are technicians, and there are a lot of technicians who could do their job. And so why are we giving them a percentage of the business? Why don't we just simply pay them? And also, of course, when you have a business, a new business, it might succeed, it might fail.
Yeah.
So why should people who are just doing a job run that risk? It's more fair to simply pay them. Now,
Yeah,
you
definitely.
know,
Employment is not a way to. It's not an illegal or unethical thing to do, to employ people. There are people who are happy to be technicians, and in fact, they don't want to run the risk of having equity because they don't want that kind of risk.
exactly. And so, like, the thing is, see, I made the suggestion. I never implied ever that I wanted us to take advantage of these two individuals, who were friends of Andy's, by the way. I never said that. I said we should pay them a salary as opposed to give them percentages in the business, which I think is perfectly fair and reasonable. But this man, Zoom, is saying to Ethan that I had said that those people should not be paid. Ethan knew that that was a lie. He was in the conversation, and he said nothing. And there was also some back channel stuff that I heard, that he was sort of like agreeing with Zoom about who I was and things I've done, or let me phrase it, things I have not done, but Zoom claims that I have. I mean, the guy claims that I've never written a book. Fine. You know, I have multiple books published, and you can find them easily. The guy claims, he practically claims that I don't exist, that I'm like a figment of my own imagination and shit like that. Okay. The guy lies with every breath that he takes. He throws lies one after the other, after the other, after the other, trying to see what will stick. And when something sticks, he runs with it. He lied about me not paying for my stay in Knoxville. He just lies about everything because he hates my guts. I don't know why. My only thinking is that Andy just said, you know, sick 'em, boy. And yeah, that's that. So
No, I
look,
mean Zoom has no
Andy.
direction. He's like the Catherine of your book. Zoom,
Well,
it's not that he hates you; it's that he's a parasite who grabs on anything he can seed in terms of into the universe. He will. Right now, he's after you. He's been after me. He's been after Andy at some point even. And so
yeah,
this guy he just lives for chaos and anarchy. And when you team up with this guy, is when you lose respect for me, because you know that Zoom is lying. If you're Ethan Ralph and Andy Warski, we've been through cycles of this. We've been where Zoom was lying about other people, and I demonstrated it. And then they said, "Oh, okay, Zoom is a cockroach." Now you cannot fake today that you don't remember that, Andy. So to that extent, I'm also done with these two guys. And the next time I will talk about them really is when I write their obituary.
I have no interest in ever speaking to either man again, and I do not care what they do. If that makes me a bad guy, fine. I don't see. I don't mind being short-term unpopular, so long as I'm long-term right. And I'm long-term right about these guys. And look, to tell you the truth, the fact that Ethan, knowing the truth, because he was there, and he just acquiesced and said nothing and just accepted these lies. How am I going to be associated with that guy? Because I made a video and I said that you need to be surrounded by stand-up people, and it's better to be surrounded by enemies rather than half-hearted friends. Because if you have half-hearted friends, if you have a friend, one friend or a group of friends, whatever, and they go out in the world and people know that they're your friends, and people come up to him and say, "Hey, I heard that our buddy is I don't know, a cannibal or just an evil person or whatever," and your friends don't stick up for you, then people are going to believe these lies, because they're going to say, "Hey, I was talking about Coach with Ethan, and I said that Coach is a cannibal, and Ethan didn't say anything. So I guess Coach is a cannibal. I mean, Ethan must be tacitly saying that Coach is a cannibal, right? Or Coach tried to screw over two people out of any kind of payment for some project, like what happened." Okay, and that's when I realized, no, I don't want to be associated with this guy ever. I don't want people to think for a second that we're friends or associated in any way, because when people say lies about me to his face, he just like nods and like, "Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. There are two sides to everything." I mean, he's the ultimate fence sitter.
Yeah.
I have no patience for cowards. And also the other thing, the guy's afraid of Zoom. He's just a chicken little coward, as far as I'm concerned. He's afraid of Zoom, and so he's afraid that Zoom will attack him. And the thing is, see, Zoom will eventually attack him. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, Zoom is
you
gonna go
can't
after
save
him
these chaotic people
eventually.
from. Yeah, they,
Yeah,
they go at you whenever they have no more things to do.
exactly. And so the thing is, see, he made a deal with the devil. He was like, uh, I'll give you Coach, and you can attack him all you want, just so long as you don't attack me. He's a fucking idiot, because eventually he will be attacked. And look, I despise cowardice. Okay, I mean, I despise cowards. It's as simple as that. And this guy's a coward, and I don't give a what the Ralpha male think of me, and they think that I'm a bad man, but I don't care. The guy is a coward. He is as simple as that. He will not stick up for his friends. He will not stick up for people who have helped him. He won't. And so I just despise him. And yeah, I realized what he is. And the thing is, see, when you realize who somebody really is, it's like, okay, him, and I want nothing to do with him. Andy's just, he just goes with whomever is the strong, dominant personality around him. I
Um,
despise them. And the thing is, see, on a personal level, they're a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun. I went to Knoxville. I had a great time. I'm not going to lie. I had a fucking great time. It was great, and just had a blast the whole time, right? But see, at the end of the day, having a good time with people who are your quote unquote friends, that's not enough. There are moral standards, and these guys do not have that kind of moral standard. Andy sicked Zoom on me because I was mildly criticizing him for how he was behaving as of late, and reasonably so, by the way. My criticisms were perfectly reasonable. And because of that, he sicked Zoom on me. That's the kind of person Andy is. And Ethan Ralph, yeah, he's supposed to be my friend and all the rest of it. And people say lies about me, and he'll be like, I don't know, maybe not. Well, come, come both, come and to high heaven. I despise them. And you know something? Whenever I start to think about this, I get upset, and so I'm not going to talk about it anymore because it just
All right.
gets me upset. I can feel my blood pressure, and I'm an old man, and I might have a heart attack on this live stream. So enough of this. Yeah.
All right. George Glass says, showing support for CRP and standing up for true friendship. To others, saying CRP is lying. Watch the whole stream. If you think that's a defense, you can't be anything but a coward as a friend. And we have new members. Arjaz says, CRP, are you going to make more videos about writers like you did on Solzhenitsyn and Joyce?
Yeah, I will. I did it on those two writers, and I'll be doing a few more because while I'm promoting Wilshire Boulevard, I want to do some videos sort of like explaining how I got to write that book, and what have been writers that have influenced me. Some of them are highbrow and some of them are lowbrow, quite frankly. But sometimes the lowbrow writers can teach you a lot. And so yeah, I'm going to be doing more about that. That's a good question. Thank you.
All right, CRP, it was a pleasure talking to you. I will continue alone because I have to update my audience about the upcoming private show. But thank you so much for coming, and everyone who just joined us. We talked about the book of Coach Red Pill, which is on Indiegogo right now. You can participate to the campaign that will lead to its production. Coach Red Pill, a new book. I think that the Coach coins are rising. I think I'm going to go buy some Coach coins.
I hope so. It's called Wilshire Boulevard, and JF read it and he enjoyed it, and that's frankly a big relief because you're the first person in our scene who's read it, and I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
Well, it is an honor. Coach Red Pill, I'll talk to you later. Thank you for coming.
Take it easy. Bye.
All right. What did I want to? Oh yeah, there was some more super chats to read. George Glass says Ralph's Pay Pigs in full damage control mode. IBS is dead, and not because of Coach. Absolutely, I'm afraid that these guys they could not find a way to survive without hurting everything around them. It's like it's this destructive lifestyle where if you destroy every collaboration you have and you don't care and you have no difference between enemies and people you comment about, people you don't, you end up attacking the people who could produce content for you. Think about the value, the evaluation from the perspective of Ralph, of going after me and Coach Red Pill or not going. If you don't go, if you don't start lying about us or our family, we can go to your show, Ralph, once a month, once a week if you want. You just call me and you say, JF, come and entertain my crowd. And I provide free entertainment. I bring an audience to your show. Since your show is doing bad on stream.me, it's weakening as you go through the consequences of your YouTube banning. So it's all good. You could all derive good from my presence on your show. You would get exposure to an audience. You don't lose the contact with YouTube. On the other end, if you start publishing lies about my family and attacking me and my family, and then I didn't even know about this morning, but now I learned that he did the same to Coach. If you start associating with people like Zoom, who have been demonstrating again and again, through many cycles of this, that they didn't care about the truth, they're not journalists, they're not even pretending to be journalists. Zoom will admit in your face that he's a cockroach. So why would I continue interacting with these people and providing them content and entertainment? I won't. Dirty D disagrees, says, hey, CRP cultist, how does it feel knowing your messiah is a gossiping crybaby and a liar? CRP, you disavowed before that, liar. JF laughs while Coach lies straight to his face. Well, on that thing, I learned this morning about this whole thing between Coach Red Pill and Ralph. So I will not research it because Ralph was already on my blacklist from 7 days ago when he decided to attack me and my family. So I will not research it. I will assume that Coach Red Pill is telling the truth now, because someone coming to me and saying Zoom lied about me. This is such a credible allegations that I'm not even going to investigate it. Because I've had Zoom himself in front of me say, I don't care about the truth. I'm a troll of the internet. I'm a cockroach. So if you come to me and you say, JF, Zoom lied about me, I'm not even going to search for the lie and to make sure that it's a lie. I mean, it's not like if you come to me and you say, Jeff, Robin Williams lied about me or Sandra Bullock lied about me. Then I'm going to say, oh, those are people with high credibility. I'm going to do the research to make sure that they actually lied. Zoom, I won't. I will assume that you are correct because I've seen this man lie so many times that I can only see it happen again. Bestiaccia sends 10 euros. He says, by watching the movie Arrival from 2016, I came across a theory called linguistic relativity hypothesis, which I found intriguing. Have you heard of it? What do you think? Well, I can search it. Linguistic relativity hypothesis, popularly known as the Sapir-Whorf's hypothesis, holds that the structure of human language affects the way in which an individual conceptualizes the world. Working from the position that every language describes and conceptualizes the world in its own unique way, it holds that a person's native language limits their cross-cultural understanding. Oh yeah, I've been familiar with this. I didn't know the name of it, but that's, for example, people claiming that if you are part of a people that has a language that has 60 words to describe different streams of water, like river, fluvia, ocean, that kind of words. If you have 60 words to describe it, your brain will be more perceptive of the differences between different streams of water. Whereas if you're in a language that has 2 or 3 words for water, and you don't have ocean, you don't have a sea, you don't have fluvia, you don't have river, then you are less likely to be perceptive of small distinctions, and ultimately your brain has access to less of the reality of these distinctions. Now, it is a very I get a lack of concentration from haters in the regular chat. Like someone is saying, "You're going to jail, JF. Thank you for the mods to have banned him." I'm not going to jail. Look at me. I'm looking outside. There's no air. There's no horse police from Canada coming in. But yet you are getting my concentration. So I thank the mods for banning these people because it is better for me. That way I don't get the lack of concentration due to these ridiculous claims. So yeah, the problem with the linguistic relativity hypothesis is it focuses so much on the language when in fact the brain is using language as a tool, but the brain is more than language. And ultimately your cognition and your ability to distinguish is not limited by your semantic capabilities. And so I don't believe that language has as much of a limiting effect as this theory seems to claim. I think that there can be brain mechanisms that detect realities of the world, even if your language does not allow the precise expression of these realities. For example, the person who has a language that doesn't have 60 words to describe stream of water, and ultimately doesn't have a word that distinguishes a river from a large river or a fluvia or a sea from an ocean, that person could very well say, well, small river, big river, average river. There are ways to combine words where you don't have a specific word for it, but your cognition succeeds at expressing what it wants to express by using combinations of words. People want Mama JF on. Well, I don't know. If Mama JF wants to come, she can come, but she may be tired. You know, we had a big night yesterday. Let me show you the pictures of what we ate. Maybe she's still sleeping. She probably fell asleep again. Yesterday we ate at the Cabane d'à Côté, and there was the pea soup with a cube of ham. And the meatball here is a meatball of duck. Duck meatball with whipped cream, pea soup, carrots, onions. It was very good. Then there was a ham that was smoked with the maple wood of Quebec, cooked in maple syrup, and then decorated with butter. And it was apple butter. So there are apple flavor here in the ham. There was the endive salad. The endive salad. Oh, Mama JF is coming as requested.
Hey, my God, it was so big. My belly hurt so much after.
Oh, yeah.
That was 13 meals.
There were 13 plates, and it was very hurtful for the stomach. So we had the endive salad here with mushrooms and a big ball of white, this Italian, it's not mozzarella, but it's like these Italian balls of tasteless cheese. And then there was a salad of lightly pickled cucumbers, cooked skin of trouts, and there were pieces of clams and uncooked raw trout in the salad with a gin vinaigrette that was highly spiced with various spices to add flavor to the gin. Then there was this grape bread. So it's a bread. It's like a pudding / bread. There are dried grapes in it, and there were Ile de Grue cheese melted on it, along with sprinkling of foie gras sprinkles. And on the right here, we had an omelette, which was, there was eggs, cheese, and then there was a sauce of wild mushrooms with 4 different types of mushrooms, including the great French morel. It was very tasty, extremely mushroomy in terms of flavor. Then we had a deboned quail. It's a little bird that was cut in two. It was in a ragu style sauce with vinegar, carrots, potatoes, onions, and it was surrounded by some sweet sauce. And we had a breast of chicken in thin slices with orange zest and some onion puree, along with a duck and rabbit meat pie with carrots that were caramelized out of the meal pie. And they also have ice in the table. They just drop ice at the middle of the table. The table is like made to host some ice, and they are dropping maple shots on the ice, so it becomes hard, and then you can suck it from a stick. And there were also the desserts. This is a frozen apple. This is donuts that came with a little sauce. There was also the...
Why they do that? It's like torture. It's so much.
Yes, it was torture. Physically, it was... You have to leave some stuff on the side because it's way too much in quantity. I mean, even I can eat 2-3 times more than your average person, but I couldn't eat all of this. I've not eaten the dessert, and I was having a pain in the stomach, so... Dirty D disagrees, says JF talks about commitment to the truth, then he refuses to find it for himself. I've already made clear about this. There are people who are not worth your time. In your search for the truth, there are people who will admit that they are liars, and they will demonstrate through their behavior that they keep lying. There's no such thing as searching the truth with Zoom. Zoom is an anonymous troll on the internet. And so there's no such thing as any time you can spend on this guy and find the truth. It doesn't matter what he says. He's a cockroach. And what you do with cockroach is you don't find the truth with them. You crush them. Captain Shitacular says CRP is subversive. Pondiello says, can you pronounce butter and butthurt? Well, butter and butthurt. All right. So, we're going for the private show. In 50 minutes from now, I will be talking about the Jussie Smollett affair. There is development this morning. Jussie Smollett has been arrested. He will be charged with a felony. There are some good news in there. There are also some levels of disappointment. If you want to know my opinion on this, I will be sharing it only in the private, the public space show, and it will be in 50 minutes from now. If you want to receive the update, you need to be a member of the channel. And so click join below the video and join the channel, be a member like Lone Wolf and Fuzzimo, who just joined during this stream earlier. And we'll have a private show where you can interact in the regular chat with me. You don't have to super chat. I will be reading the regular chat in there, and I will be exchanging my views. We'll be updating on the current news item, including Jussie Smollett and probably a couple of other subjects. Join me at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 50 minutes from now. Everyone, have a great day, and I'll see you in the private show.